What's up, you guys? Nick here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm actually going to talk about something other than cloud. If you guys have been following me for any length of time, all I've been talking about is cloud. I have a bunch of videos on AWS, a couple videos on Oracle Cloud, but the channel is actually about cloud security. So we need to start talking about cybersecurity. For those of you who do not know me, I am a cloud security engineer. I've been in IT for almost 10 years now. I'm like 8 or 9 years or so. And I've done a lot of security related tasks, but never, I can't say I always had the title of security engineer or something like that. When I first started out, I was actually a desktop administrator. I did the whole PC break and fix thing. I did virus removals, I did customer support, sales, network engineering a little bit, Wi-Fi setups and troubleshooting and stuff like that. And then I ended up working my way into like a system admin role, systems engineers role, where I was doing more scripting. I was dealing with Unix environments. I was actually the Mac guy for an MSP, which is a managed service provider. And I did a lot of Windows stuff too, like I dealt with Active Directory, but I basically kind of made a beeline into a Mac and Linux type environment dealing with a lot of those tickets. And I just handled everything that every medical practice, every law practice, which those were the main people that had Macs. Some education institutions also had Macs as well. And I was the guy who took care of that. And that was cool for a while, but then I started to get kind of bored and I wanted to explore other areas of IT. So I looked into software engineering because that was the huge crave, especially on YouTube. A lot of guys were talking about how they're making $200,000 as a software engineer. I'm a full stack developer, and look at me, I can make all this stuff, and I'm work from home and work from an island and my laptop. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that. Like, I don't have to deal with old dusty Cisco equipment that no one wants to replace because it's so expensive. I get to code all day. And that was good, but then I found out that I didn't really like that. I didn't like the pickiness of the customers. I didn't like really, that was it. I didn't like, there were certain things that irritated me about it. That was like, okay, this is more like a designer type role. I don't really feel like I am the engineer. Like, I want to build and I want to know that what I'm building is valuable and that people really appreciate that. And I didn't really feel that when I was in that role. So I kind of lost the passion. And then I explored cybersecurity. And I think around this time, it was like 2016, 2017, people were starting to get hacked a lot more. It was being more publicized, I should say. They were probably getting hacked all along. They just didn't know. And this is when the news started blowing up, like all these big hacks. And that was a big thing. And I was like, okay, I like security. I like locking things down. And I like the idea of maybe doing some penetration testing. Let me start to explore this a little bit more. And so I started transitioning from the systems engineer role that I was in into cybersecurity. And that's what this video is going to be about. I actually want to talk to you about how to make that transition over from your standard IT role, whether that's like a software developer or you're a systems engineer like I was, maybe you're a network admin, whatever you are. If you're wanting to go into cybersecurity because you're seeing the benefits or it just piques your interest, I think you should, and I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Now, before we continue, I want to let you know that there's not just one single way that you go into cyber. You don't just start out in cyber. Many people don't. Anyways, most people, I think, they end up doing what we're doing, which is that transition. They start out in networks and they say, I'm going to go into network security, and then I'm going to go into the cloud. And they do that. Or if you're an application engineer, if you're a developer, then you might want to say, I'm going to go into app security. And that's going to be your thing. Some people do a whole beeline, like I'm going to go from systems engineering to application security, and they got to learn a whole bunch of new stuff like programming and all these things, which I actually did that. But I would say to you that if you want to make that transition, it's a lot easier than you're probably thinking. And I don't want you to overthink it. I tend to do that a lot. I know a lot of people deal with that. Like, this is so overwhelming. There's so many things I got to learn. It's really not that hard. So what I want to do is kind of highlight some things that were helpful for me. I want to tell you some of my mistakes, and we'll go from there. So when I was a systems engineer, I didn't have a bachelor's degree. I knew I needed one in order for me to increase my pay. I think at the time I was being capped at around 50 grand a year here in the United States, which is okay. A lot of people make that, and that's a good salary. That's a great salary actually. But I wanted to increase my opportunity. So I went and signed up for a bachelor's degree online. And at the time, like I said, I was looking into software development, so I actually signed up for a degree in software development. And that was cool, but I lost passion in that. I was gonna have to start coding in Java and all this stuff, and I was like, this is not really what I want to do. And I said, I'm just gonna drop out of this. And 3 months later, the same school that I was going for software development at, which is actually WGU, the Western Governors University, it's an online institution. They opened up their cybersecurity program. And I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about cyber. I've been looking at Hack the Box and learning about this stuff on my own. I'm going to go ahead and sign up for that. And I told my wife, and we agreed that was the thing that I was going to do. And then I went it, and I did it. And I got my degree, I pursued it. And the cool thing about WGU is that you get a bunch of certifications along the way that help you not only pass classes, like those are the final exams, are the certification exams, but you get your degree too. So you're checking multiple boxes when it comes to HR and when you have to go and find a new job, when they want you to have that degree and the Security Plus, and they want you to have skills. Like I was checking a lot of those boxes by just pursuing this, which is why I did it. And if I were to do it again, I would have to say, even though that was the right move for me, I would have looked at other opportunities that maybe were not in cybersecurity per se. The reason why I say that is because you don't need a bachelor's degree in cyber in order to get into cyber. And they had other opportunities, like they had a degree in cloud engineering that I could have gone for, and I would have probably benefited even more because I would have walked away with an AWS SysOps Associate certification, which is much harder to get, and they paid for the voucher, they had all the training there, and personally I thought, that probably would have been a great move. But, no regrets. I'm glad I did what I did. But I just wanted to share that experience with you and let you know that if you're thinking you have to go back to school to go get a cybersecurity degree, you don't. If you have a degree in art and you want to go into cybersecurity, you can do that. You don't need to go get a whole nother bachelor's degree. And let me tell you why. When I was going into my degree for cybersecurity, and I know this is, I went to an online institution and sometimes they have a bad rap with people. I also know that on-premise institutions, like your public institutions, where you have to go into the brick and mortar and you have to attend those classrooms and classes and all that, the curriculum is not that much different. They're all outdated. I'm just going to say that very blatantly. They're all outdated. What they're teaching does not change enough to keep up with the flow of IT or cybersecurity. Whether you're going to go here or there, you're going to do it online or you're going to do it on premise, it doesn't really matter. You're getting the degree to check the box. That's it. At the end of the day, the employers just want to know that you have a degree. So if you have it in art or you have it in basket weaving, which I know that's like the stereotypical example, if that's what you have, that's fine. Go and move on to the next thing, which is actually certifications. I really want to highlight the certifications that really matter in the industry. Now, mind you, I'm a senior cybersecurity engineer. Part of my job is actually staffing. I actually help people get staffed in projects that require their skill sets. So I've done quite a bit of research figuring out what certifications are worth it, what do they mean, what do project managers look for, what do hiring managers look for, what does the client care about. And really, I think I've summarized it down to only a handful of certifications that really matter depending on what you're going for. Now, let's take a step back and think, cybersecurity is pretty vast. You have privacy, you have penetration testing, You have SOC analyst type work where you're dealing with, analyzing threats incoming all the time. And there's network security, incident handling. I mean, there's just so many different options, so many different paths that you can go down. And it seems like every path that you go down, there's a certification for that path. We're going to be talking about how you can make the transition from standard IT into generalized cybersecurity. And I think depending on what type of experience you have and how much experience you have, these certifications will help you hone in and find the right job and ultimately that right salary, that right opportunity for you, depending on your experience. So the first cybersecurity certification that I would recommend you go for is the SSCP. Now, the SSCP is made by the organization ISC Square, which they also make the CISSP. The CISSP we're going to get to in a second, but that's like the Mac Daddy of general cybersecurity certifications. The SSCP is like the mini CISSP. It's $250 and you have to have 1 year of experience in order for you to obtain the certification. Otherwise, you have the associate. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, if I need to have 1 year of experience, why would I go for that if I don't have any experience? That's the thing. You probably do have experience already if you're already working in IT. And I say that because most IT roles do deal with some domain of cybersecurity, and you don't even realize it. Like removing viruses off of a system or off of a server, that's cybersecurity. I mean, that is system security. You're securing a system. And so if you've been doing that for a year, you qualify to get the SSCP certification, and therefore you would qualify to move over into cybersecurity. I mean, granted, you have some experience and you interview well and you find the right opportunity, you could theoretically start making that transition very quickly. Now, if you don't have that type of experience, maybe you haven't been doing, secure coding if you're a developer and you want to move into cybersecurity and security engineering, if you don't have that experience, then what I would recommend is going for something like the Security Plus, which doesn't have an experience requirement to it. You just pass the exam, you have the certification, and then you can start focusing on building your skills. Now, if you're not a beginner and you've been working in IT for 5-6 years, I would recommend that you start looking at something like the CISSP or the CISA or the CISM, which those last two are by ISACA. The CISSP is by the ISC Square organization. If you are not looking to go into general IT and you want to actually specialize in something like penetration testing, I would say let's move all this stuff aside and focus on the OSCP. The OSCP is like the gold standard for penetration testing and hacking. It's a really good certification. I think it costs about $800 or $900 altogether for the actual exam. And the nature of the exam is pretty unique. It's all hands-on for the most part. I think you're sitting down for 24 hours and testing. I think you can take breaks there, but you're really just hacking virtual machines, and there's a proctor watching you. So you can do it from home, but you have somebody watching you on a webcam, making sure that you are abiding by the rules and that you do what's necessary and that so you can pass. I've never taken the exam. I know people who have. Actually, the Cyber Mentor, who's another YouTuber here, he's actually taken it and he talks a little bit about it on his channel. So if you want to learn more, I'll post a link to his channel in my description so that you can follow him and check him out. But as far as general IT stuff goes, I would recommend, but as far as general cybersecurity stuff goes, I would recommend that if you're a beginner, go for the SSCP or the Security Plus, and if you're an experienced person, go for the CISSP, the CISA, and the CISM. Now, once you've gotten your certification, the next step that you need in order to make that transition and get that job in cybersecurity is to start gaining experience. Now, this kind of depends on what you're trying to pursue. Like if you're trying to be a cloud security engineer like me, then you need to start learning the cloud. And then you have to go get a cloud certification if you don't already have one and start working on some labs that deal with security engineering in the cloud. So like AWS security tools and finding different ways that you can secure stuff and their vulnerabilities and things like that. But if you're trying to go for something like penetration testing, you would want to go for something like Hack the Box or any of those other type of environments, maybe the Damn Vulnerable web application where you are testing that, or WebGoat or something like that. I think they have WebSheep is another one by OWASP, where you're just doing a bunch of different security attacks and analyzing what the vulnerabilities are and how you can find your way, hack your way into the system and take advantage of these different vulnerabilities. These are actually like capture the flag type games. They're games essentially, and they're pretty cool. I've done a couple of them, and I found them to be not only really fun, but very educational. You learn scripting, it's a lot of hands-on experience, and I think it carries over very well into a cybersecurity environment. So if you're trying to gain experience, that's one really good way to do that. So to summarize this video, I think the SSCP and the Security Plus are the top two that you need to go for in order to make that transition. Alright guys, that about wraps up this video. I hope this was super helpful. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and leave a comment in the section below. I want to hear from you. Let me know if you plan on going for any of these certifications, or if you're planning on going for another cybersecurity certification that maybe I didn't list in this video. If you have any thoughts, I want to hear from you. Also, I wanted to make sure to let you know that I've opened up a Discord server for anyone that is following me, anyone that wants to talk about cloud security or cybersecurity or cloud engineering. It's for all of those people that want to get into the community and start learning. I'm going to post a link to that Discord server in my description below this video, so make sure to join. It's absolutely free, and when you're in there, I want to hear from you. There's an introduction area. Go ahead and let me know who you are, where you're from, what do you do, and all that stuff. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Peace.